Good evening, everyone. I call the Public Services Committee meeting to order. It is June 2nd, 2025. The time is 6:30 p.m. We have two items on tonight's agenda, and I will begin with order number 25-100-9440, application for renewal of a junk dealer / second-hand dealer license from Roman Kimiagarov, DBA Arthur & Sons Shoe Repair, 107 Main Street. Mr. Kimiagarov, if you want to come in to the well with us. Also have a email from Police Chief Georgie, right over here, yeah. All the way around, or wherever, wherever you want to sit.
Here or there? Yeah, you can stay there, yeah.
Sure. To read the email from Police Chief David Georgie, I received the updated query form from both Mr. Dumas of Dumas & Sons and Mr. Kimiagarov of Arthur & Sons, and I have no issues with the renewal of their respective junk dealer license. Any questions, please do not hesitate to let me know. Thank you, Chief Georgie. That being said, thank you for being here, and I will open it up to any questions from members of the Public Services Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening. It's always wonderful to see you. Not really a question, but I thoroughly enjoy getting that positive feedback from all the residents in Marlborough that your customer service is unbelievable. Now I'm getting some feedback repairing certain shoes, and now some women's pocketbooks with straps or certain kind of straps. So all positive on my end, and I'm glad. I think serving the residents in the city of Marlborough, especially downtown, is such a plus. So thank you so much for your services. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I'll open it up to other members of the City Council. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
My motion is to approve the order number 25-100-9440.
Motion made and seconded to approve order number 25-1009440. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 2-0 with one absent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have order number 25-100-9441, application for renewal of a junk dealer / second-hand dealer license from Gerald Dumas, DBA Dumas & Sons Second-Hand Store at 65 Mechanic Street. Mr. Dumas, if you want to join us in the well, nice to see you.
Sure.
Yeah, anywhere is fine. I had read the chief's correspondence, so I personally have no questions, but I will open it up to members of the committee or any councilors. Councilor Irish.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, Mr. Dumas. I do have a couple questions. I've received numerous feedback from certain residents that their properties do abut your properties that you own. They do realize that this junk license is for 65 Mechanic Street. They do realize that. But they're very concerned that that you're storing some of the material and the product on different parts of your properties besides the 65 Mechanic Street. So with that, they're leading up to that, they're believing that potentially down the road things are going to pile up, and that could certainly be a violation of the city code. I'm just passing that on along, as some of the residents have given me that feedback. Thank you. I don't know if you want to respond to any of that, but.
The tenant that lives next door, sad to say, is my niece, okay? She's got all that stuff in the yard. She's the one who brought it in. I've had numerous complaints. I'll go over there. So how do you tell your sister that took her life as a child that they're messing up? Clean up your yard, all right? So I give her a break, okay? So I go easy on her. I send my guys over there to clean it and mow the lawn. They're supposed to take care of it.
Yeah.
But me being her uncle, I told her sister that, my sister, that I would take care of them. And to be honest with you, it's nothing but trouble.
No, I can.
I'm doing it.
No,
So if there's problems there, and I got a problem with anybody in this city, all they need to do is call me. All right? They don't need to call the code enforcement officer, which they have in the past, because the code enforcement officer is just going to call me to take care of the problem. Just like the last mayor, and the mayor before that, and the mayor before that. I've been in this town a long time. I know a lot of stuff that goes on in this town. A lot of it I'm not too happy with, but Most of it I am. So I'm just here to get my license and, you know.
Thank you. Well, thank you for your response. No, I just wanted to pass that on because some residents are concerned that this is a junk dealership secondhand license that comes up once a year. And it's basically, at that time, they want to just make sure it was known. So, thank you.
Okay, I got a
Thank
question
you.
for you, okay? How often am I open at that junk dealer store?
Excuse me, what's that?
How often am I open?
Every time I've driven by, I don't think I've ever seen the 65 Mechanic Street doors opened, to be honest with you. I don't.
At 65 Mechanic, the doors open?
No, I've never seen them open.
Exactly. For over 10 years, since Savers opened up,
Yes,
I haven't been open up.
understand.
I get a bureau that's worth at least $30. I think I can get 30 that's worth 130. Savers is giving away for 10.
Yeah,
So why would they come to my shop when they go down there?
understand. Right.
Thank you, Councilor
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Irish. Yep, I'll open up to any other members of the council. No questions. I personally, I've not fielded any questions from residents. Obviously, this is not my ward. I do, if there are concerns, my personal prerogative, I believe code enforcement should handle that as is, so I wouldn't prevent you from, your renewal of an application, so I would be in favor of approval, but I will entertain a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this point, I wouldn't be able to approve the junk dealership secondhand store license at this time.
Sounds good. So just for the record, that's a motion to deny, or have you made a motion, Counselor?
No, I'm not I'm making a motion, but I don't want to, I don't support this. If we could, I'll ask Mr. President if we can make a motion to refer it without recommendation of committee.
Yeah, you can report it out with no recommendation of the Public Services Committee, and it'll go before a full vote of the full City Council.
That would be my motion, Mr. Chair.
Sounds good. Thank you, Counselor Irish. Having that, considering there are only 2 voting members present tonight, we will report this out at the next City Council meeting without a recommendation, and we'll let the rest of the council vote on that. So at our upcoming meeting next Monday, I'll report it out then, and we'll go from there.
So what you're saying is that the guy before me who voted for him, he's got his license, correct? Who issued his license?
The gentleman before this?
Yes.
He got a recommendation to approve from this committee, the 2 of us, and it will go to the general council to be voted on by the entire council. So you're going through the same process, yes.
Yes.
Exact same process.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, seeing no further business, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Sounds good. Any further discussion? Seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? And we are adjourned at 6:38 p.m.
So I'm coming
Good evening. I will call to order the Finance Committee meeting on June 2nd, 2025 at 7:45 p.m. We have 3 items on the agenda this evening. A communication from the mayor with the proposed ordinance amendment to the City Code, Chapter 125 Personnel. Communication from the mayor with year-end transfer requests, which moves funds from and to various accounts. And also, we have a communication from the mayor with the transfer request in the amount of $4,351,873 from free cash to capital outlay. I will begin with the first item on the agenda, which is order number 25-100-9450. Communication from the mayor with a proposed ordinance amendment to the City Code, Chapter 125, Personnel, Section 5, preparation of classification descriptions, and to Chapter 125 Personnel, Section 6, Salary Schedule, relative to creating the position of Deputy Chief in the Police Department. I will begin by reading the letter submitted by the mayor. Dear Council President Ossing and councilors, enclosed for your review and approval is a proposal to establish a new position with the Police Department, Deputy Chief. This role is intended to strengthen the department's organizational leadership structure by introducing a formal second-in-command and promoting a succession plan within the department. The deputy chief will be a non-union position, allowing the individual to support the chief of police in all matters without the potential of conflict of union affiliation, as outlined in Chief Georgie's attached letter. This addition will enable the department to handle responsibilities such as internal investigations in more fair, impartial, and effective manner. Enclosed, please find a job description and ordinance amendment with the salary table for your review. I would like to extend my thanks to Chief Georgie, the Legal Department, and the Human Resources Director for their valuable assistance with this matter. I also want to thank the City Council for approving the Police Department budget and including funding to support this position. Please do not hesitate to contact me or my office with any questions. Sincerely, J. Christian Dumas, Mayor. Good evening, Chief Georgie. I know during the budget review, you did touch on this position a little bit, so if you want to just give a little bit of update or anything on the particular position.
Well, again, like I had mentioned in my letter, described in my letter, it's really, it's a position we've been waiting to kind of create for the last several years. I mean, since I was appointed to this position, it's something I've been looking at. I think that for a department our size and a city our size, it's a second in command and another point of leadership that we really need. We haven't had it. I know if you look at the fire department, they have a different structure. So the fire chief does have assistant chiefs that he can run some issues by. He can confer with and discuss different options with things. And unfortunately, for the last several years, I haven't had that. So there are some duties that I can't share with other officers who are in the union. There's some new responsibilities that have come down through the state with the creation of post and with some other decisions that have come through the district attorney's office where we have to, there's discovery issues that we have to supply certain reports, officers, internal records that I can't share that with other command officers because they're in the same union as some of the officers that are doing
That makes
so.
sense, Chief, yeah.
So I'm trying to create a position where I can have some assistants to kind of share some of the duties and the things that I have to do.
No, and it makes a lot of sense. I fully support this position. Question, does this eliminate a captain's position at all? Or?
No, we that's kind of, with the previous administration, Mayor Vigil, that's something we had talked about several times, how we should handle this, whether we should eliminate one of those positions and then create this, or if we should try to maintain both captains and then create a new position. There were pros and cons with each way of doing it. There was negotiations with the union if we did eliminate a position and stuff, so we decided against that. And in full honesty, some of the other departments in the area who do have body cameras are a big issue for us. I think eventually they're coming pretty soon. And this other departments have created positions just to support the body camera system because there's a lot that comes with it, a lot of discovery stuff, a lot of retention, a lot of memory and stuff. So instead of doing that, instead of having to create another position down the road, we thought that keeping both captains' positions will allow us to maintain that system when it's up and running.
Thank you. No, and it's a great succession planning moving forward. Thank you, thank you, Chief George. With that said, I'll open up to the committee. Councilwoman.
And I'd like to lead right where you left, Mr. Chairman, and that's with succession planning. Jay Collins Jr. Management Group actually suggested this, as you noted, in 2022. They actually suggested 2
Right.
deputy chiefs, but we'll start one at a time.
I didn't want to be greedy the first time,
But
so
no, I appreciate that. My question would be, how did you determine a base salary for this position?
Well, the first thing I did is look internally. So the way the department is structured, I was looking at the separation in ranks and what the difference is in pay. So a top step captain, which would be a captain who has 2 years on in that rank, in addition to their education. So their base salary is about $128,000. And then if they have a master's degree, which 90% of them do, that's another 25% on top of their base salary. So with those two amounts combined, it's about $159,500, $160,000. So where we started then was with 165. I was trying to give it the position some incentive for someone to take it. And the second part would be that I also looked externally. So I had a survey put out through the Mass Chiefs to see other departments who similar size to us who have a deputy chief position and what their salary is. And it does kind of fluctuate. Some are very high. Some departments have up to three deputy chiefs. Others only have 1. But if they're within the similar size range as us, I'd say 60 officers up, we're actually starting on a little bit of the lower end, but, we were starting somewhere. So that kind of gave us an idea of where to put that position.
I appreciate you researching other police departments as well as your review with other people within your department makes sense. With that, I had, been thinking about the fact that if you were out, we don't have a chief, pretty much.
Right.
I'm not wishing you out.
Right.
You don't know in this world. You don't know what's going to happen the next minute. I support this fully. I support the idea that we have to keep looking at succession planning within your department and others as well. And as recommended by Jay Collins Jr.'s Center. So I'm in favor of this.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Chief.
Thank you, Councilor Vital.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Under the present fiscal situation here in town, I might be against this, but I'm not because of the growth within town. Your responsibility is increasing every single day with the increase of residents here in town, and I'm in favor of this position because of that. Succession planning is good, but if we can't pay for it and we can't show that it is worthy of a new position, that they're going to have a scope of duties responsible to keep them busy, I guess. Right. It was a great job description. I've written a lot of job descriptions in my time. It was well done, and I'm in favor of this as well. And I would I'd like to make a motion to accept this position, Mr. Chair. Order number 25-19450 to support the communication from the mayor for the proposed ordinance amendment for salary schedule relative to creating a position of deputy chief in the police department.
So it would be the description and the salary schedule.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. A motion's been made, and I will second that to approve order number 25-100-9450, proposed ordinance amendment to the City Code, Chapter 125, Personnel, Section 5, Preparation, Classification, Description, and the Chapter 125, Personnel, Section 6, Salary Schedule, relative to creating the position of Deputy Chief in the Police Department. Any further discussion? Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chief, can you clarify with me, I think you said that the 2 captains would remain. I know there's a retirement of 1 with the information that you put in the budget.
Yes.
But the potential is to hire...
Right. So right now we have 1 captain, Captain Dan Campbell. He was really serving as an acting captain for the last almost year. So both of the previous captains have retired, and what we're going to do is then promote from within 2 more captains and then someone to this position.
Okay,
Should
because
it
it's
work?
looking, and I know it wasn't asked when we did the budget, but looking at the sheets that you had in your supplemental, the salaries are not enough to cover what you've got listed, so I'm assuming when they get hired as new, their salaries are reduced well below what is listed as the base pay in
Yes,
this
well,
sheet?
Yes, so they'd be at step 1 for a captain, so that's a smaller amount below what would be in there.
Okay, and then the question would then be the similar one for the deputy chief. In the order, the starting step 1 is 165, but in the budget, we have 175. So on your spreadsheet that you have a base pay of 175. Would they also get educational pay to make a new base, or is the
No.
175? How do you get from 165, step 1, to 175 in the budget?
Well, you don't, unless you're on, I think is it 2 years? I'd have to look at it, if you don't
At
mind.
4 years, it's 2 years, it's 175.5.
Right.
So there's not enough to put them at step 4.
Right, so it would take some time for them to get to step 4. My hope would be to start them a little bit higher than step 1, to be honest with you, ma'am. But I'm just trying to find the right page. Okay.
So,
Mr.
Chair,
President,
so
Mr.
while the
President.
chief is looking, so again, with the 7-step process, and 6 months, it gets bumped up.
Thank you.
Another $3,000, right? So now you're all assuming this is going to start on July 1. The ordinance, so the salary will be in effect, but I don't know if the chief's going to get someone hired and ready to go. So just like any other one that I keep preaching until I don't know how else to preach anymore, we will underrun that salary item. We approved 175, all right? The salary says start at 165. Chief is right, he can come down and say, I'd like to start the whoever it is at salary X, step 2, 3, 4, and the council can weigh in and see if it's a good idea or not. But you are correct, Council Roby, 175 is in there in the budget, but 165 is the starting step 1 salary. So.
And that's what I wanted clarified, because I don't want them starting at 175, I want them starting at 165, or if you do, come to us with the request. But can you clarify, would they also get educational pay, or do they get a flat salary?
It would be a flat salary.
So there's no extras?
Not as far as the education goes. I mean,
Okay.
so my salary is that. It's a flat salary. Education is not separated from base salary. All the other ranks are.
Yes, again, point of information, the salary that the chief is talking about, the Quinn bill, if you will, is only for union positions. It's not for non-salaried positions.
Okay. So no educational, no longevity, it would just be one salary that would then increase based on this schedule that is what's before the council to be approved at this point in time.
Right, and that was based on roughly a 2% increase each step, rounded up a little bit.
Right, okay. So, and it makes more sense. And I know I talked to Councilor Preciado, he was unfortunately not able to make it, so I'm asking some questions because of his conversation with me, but some that I also had on my own. So to know that the salary is really starting at 165, I think makes both of us a little more comfortable. And I'm not on the committee to approve this, but eventually it's got to come to the full council. I certainly support doing this. I guess my other question would be, who within the ranks can apply for this? Can anybody, or is it a certain level?
No, it would be the lieutenants and up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Roby. Councilor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not to belabor the point, but I'm also in full support of this tonight, and we'll be supporting it at the General Council. I supported the funding for it in the budget. I think it's a strong idea. I think succession planning is absolutely needed in the department, and I appreciate the fact that you were on top of this, and long time coming, but finally at the end of the road. So that is all. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Fitzgerald.
Appreciate that.
And seeing no further questions, motion has been made and seconded. All in favor? It carries 5-0. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Next up is order number 25-100-9447, communication from the mayor, year-end transfer request in the amount of $393,500, which moves funds from and to various accounts for departments of Public Works, Public Facilities, and the Legal Department, in addition to a transfer request totaling $1,340,719 from free cash to open space stabilization with $19,500, and snow and ice with a $1,321,219. I will begin by reading the letter submitted by the mayor. Enclosed for your review and approval are the FY 2025 year-end transfer request in the amount of, and it should be in the amount of $1,734,219 relative to following Department of Public Works, Public Facilities, and the Legal Department, which breaks down accordingly. $1,321,219 from undesignated fund to fund the snow and ice deficit for FY 2025, $19,500 from the undesignated fund, which is the wireless antenna payments, to fund the open space stabilization account, $340,000 from various salary accounts with the DPW to fund the professional and technical expenses line items, West Water and repairs and maintenance, and $53,500 to fund the legal service account for ongoing legal matters, including collective bargaining negotiations. My staff and I will be available at a future finance meeting to answer any questions you may have. Sincerely, J. Christian Dumas, Mayor. With that, does the council have any particular questions on the snow and ice? Or any? No.
No, she
Councilor
had-
Brown.
Go ahead, Councilor Brown.
I apologize. I did not have any questions about the snow and ice. Were you going to take it item by item?
Yes, absolutely. So the first one we can take up is the snow and ice, which funds from the undesignated free cash for that first one.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to approve the $1,321,219 to fund the snow and ice deficit for fiscal year '24.
Thank you, Council. I will second that. Motion is made and seconded to approve the $1,321,219 from undesignated fund to fund the snow and ice deficit. Any further discussion? Council Orman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's broken down into three categories. Overtime's easily understood.
Yes.
Snow removal, easily understood. Operating expenses, just a little more info on
I'll ask
that, if I may.
Commissioner Scott up. Thank you.
Sure, so operating expenses, the third one, a lot of it is the fleet for repairs of the vehicles, plow equipment, and the biggest line item is the salt on that one, the rock salt.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Commissioner.
Motion to approve.
Motion's been made.
Oh, it was already?
Yeah, all in favor? That carries 5-0. Okay, thank you.
That's right.
Next up would be the $19,500 from undesignated fund, which is the wireless antenna payments to fund the open space stabilization account. That is $19,500. Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have any questions about this either, and I move to approve the transfer of $19,500 to fund the open space stabilization account.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Motion is made and seconded to approve the transfer request in the amount of $19,500 from the undesignated fund to open space stabilization. Any further discussion? Councilor Orman.
And I won't re-motion it, as Councilor Brown did make the previous motion. I apologize, Councilor Brown. The stabilization account is that if it's transferred, it will be $665,906.93. What is the goal for this stabilization account? Are we trying to reach a certain goal on it, and can we transfer more than $19,500? If the mayor or someone could answer that. Is there a goal? Who sets this idea of the 19,500?
So these are the receipts that the city collects from all the wireless facilities. So every year, we have a because the receipts go into general fund.
Yep.
Every year, we do a transfer at the end of the fiscal year to move those funds. How we wrote it up was they would go into the open space account. So we now have an open space account that's grows between 19 and 48,000 a year, Diane, depending on who's paying or not paying on any particular year. This year, it's 19,000. It just moves over. And then when the council decides they want to buy some open space, you got 600 grand to figure out what you want to buy.
So it's based on what we collect. It's not like we can add more to it unless the mayor wishes to
You can, but you got to get,
Transfer.
you got to get 8 councilors to move money.
You got to,
6 to move money.
understandable. You got to transfer from free cash if you want more, but as time goes on, we may want to consider that, that is this account suitable to even consider possibly purchasing property? The way property is right now, I don't think 665, almost 666,000 is really going to get us a big chunk of property. So in the future, maybe there could be some additional considerations for the open space account. And I thank you for your answers, Mr. President, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good question, Councilman. And I believe too, Mr. President, the mayor is probably in negotiations with some of these wireless companies as we speak, I think, to work out the additional 3% or whatever they would work out in negotiations of the wireless.
Yeah, they're constantly, whenever the contracts end, they're constantly in negotiations, so they'll, whatever the new terms are that are settled by the city, that's what we collect, and then we transfer the monies at the end of the year.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so motion has been made and seconded to approve the 19,500. All in favor? That carries 5-0. Next up is a transfer for $340,000 from various salary accounts with the DPW to fund the professional and technical expense line items, the West Water and repairs and maintenance. And that is for $340,000. Councilor Orm.
Thank you, Mr. President. And pretty self-explanatory, and I would motion to approve, and we can second it for more discussion, but the emergency generator enclosure, I know down at the Wesley Treatment Plant, thank you for the tour, by the way, there was some concern with the generator, and just recently, there was a concern with the generator. This enclosure, is this to help the generator, or is this just something that should have been done and just never got done?
Yeah, so when we had that incident, it uncovered that we should have that enclosed because the controls short-circuited, so that's what this is for, an immediate need to cover that, so that doesn't happen again.
No, thank you for your answer. We don't want that plant going down, any plant going down, or it's going to be, as you know, a horrendous situation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And that amount is, the request is in the amount of $393,500.
If I may, I'd like to just adjust and reduce one of these line items because we had an unforeseen need. It's the 4th page. The one that has, for the city facility projects on the right, so it would be the 4th one down where it says Assistant Commissioner Utilities for $5,000. Does everybody follow that one?
Yep, so it's on.
If I could reduce that to 0. So that would bring the total down to 100,000 instead of 105.
I'm sorry, what was that, Commissioner? That would.
So if I would just strike that line item for the 5,000, that 4th line item, just strike it. So the $5,000 transfer from Assistant Commissioner Utilities goes away, and that the total amount would not be 100, would be modified from 105,000 to 100,000, because that 5,000 wouldn't be there anymore.
I would motion that amendment, Mr. Chair.
Motion is made and seconded to reduce that item by $5,000. All in favor?
Of the amendment.
Amendment.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah, 100,000.
All in favor? Carries 5-0. All right, so now we would vote on the total request, which,
With discussion. But if someone's made that motion,
I'm sorry, I think it was, any discussion on the,
so
Mr. President?
So I do. So here again, I want to point out to the councilors with as much trepidation as I saw to reduce line items, if you draw your attention to the overtime water sewer line item that Councilor Brown, nice job knocking $10,000 out of.
She did.
We will not be spending any money in that account in 2025. We're going to zero it out by moving money around. So I say this so that you don't lose sleep at night thinking that you stripped the DPW and the police department of overtime funds. The world will still function just fine. Matter of fact, all $393,000 are coming from underfunded or underruns in salary line items. Or I continue to emphasize to the councils why it's okay to reduce items, because we're not hiring. If we don't hire, we fund them, but we don't hire, so the money is there. So I just say this so that you all sleep well at night knowing that the cuts you made will not impact one iota how the city operates. It's taken me time, but I'm hopefully starting to get through to some of you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr.
Thank you,
Chair.
Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President.
And on that note, obviously, it's a good point that was brought up with the vacancies. You had 3 vacancies, treatment plant operator, equipment operator, and house worker. In the future, are those, can they be done without, or do you need
Nope, so
to?
the treatment plant was a previous vacancy. House worker is still vacant. We haven't had any nibbles on that. Equipment operators, we've been hiring. We've been hiring at least one position a month at least, but we've had some attrition. We've had a lot of retirements, and we've had a few people leave. Some moving to other cities and towns for promotions, not lateral moves. So as we hire them, we're losing, so we're like treading water. And then there were some positions, now that we will be moving people up, we'll start filling in from the top, and then, so.
And the
we'll start-
overtime water and sewer, have you used that account in the past few years? And what's the purpose? Is it when?
That funds the police
Oh, it's
details.
the police details, okay. Okay, thank you for your answers. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor. So quick question, Mr. President. So
So your motion would
We
be to, be the amended, instead of 340,000, it would be 335,000. Because you've already approved the 1.3 million for snow and ice, the 19 million for the stabilization account,
Stabilization.
and 53,000 for the legal services, so all you got left is 340. The commissioner says you voted already to amend the 340 by reducing it by 5,000, so it's $335,000, which is what the Finance Committee should be recommending for approval.
Thank you, sir. I'll entertain a motion on that 335,000.
So moved.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the $335,000 as amended. All in favor? Carries 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, if you could
Mr. Chair.
see if the committee would entertain a suspension for these so that the auditor can get a jump on closing the books and making the year-end transfer.
That's a good suggestion, Mr. Ray. All in favor of having a suspension? That carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Commissioner.
Oh, did they not delete?
What's
Oh,
up with that? The 53,
did we torture Jason yet, or no?
no, we did not.
By all means, torture Jason.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Thank you. And that's for, the next item is a transfer for $53,500 to fund the legal service accounts for ongoing legal matters, including collective bargaining and negotiations. And this is being removed from various accounts, the contract services and the veterans benefits to fund this amount needed to the year end. Council Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no questions, so I move to approve the transfer.
I will second that. Motion has been made and seconded to approve the $53,500 from various accounts to fund the legal services to the needed through the year end. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? That carries 5-0. Thank you, Counselor. That should take care of those transfers on that one. Next up is order number 25-100-9427, communication from the mayor with a transfer request in the amount of $4,351,873 from free cash to capital outlay to address critical needs identified by the Police Department, Informational Technology Department, and the Department of Public Works. With that, I'll begin by reading the letter submitted by the mayor. Dear Councilor President Ossing and councilors, enclosed for your review and consideration is a request to transfer the funds from free cash in the amount of $4,351,873 to support capital improvement plan items for fiscal year 2026. This funding will address critical needs identified by the Police Department, Informational Technology Department, and the Department of Public Works. The Police Department is requesting funding for several capital items, including the replacement of bulletproof vests and the marked police cruiser, the installation of security fence to complete the parking lot project, and the replacement of electronic control weapons, tasers. These upgrades are essential for the officer's safety and operational effectiveness. The Informational Technology, the IT Department, is requesting funding to support the essential infrastructure upgrades, including 4 virtual production servers, 2 ProMox virtual administrator servers, and updated school hardware technology. These resources are critical to maintaining and enhancing the school's technology capabilities. Department of Public Works is requesting funding to replace 4 vehicles that have incurred significant repair costs and have experienced extended periods out of service in recent years. Additionally, funds are being requested for sewer system hydraulic equipment and funds to complete the Ward Park wading pool. Supporting documentation from each department, including the cost estimates and items detailed, is enclosed for your review. Department heads with requests will join me at a future meeting to answer any questions you may have. Sincerely, J. Christian Dumas, Mayor. With that, I will open it up then for discussion. Or Council Orm?
Yeah, I have a few questions. I don't know where you want to start. I don't know if you want to...
Do you want to start with the Police Department? Or?
Yeah, that was easy. I knew it was 4 marked cruisers when I was looking at the information. I had a question on what is a sewer system hydraulic model?
I'll ask Commissioner.
I could have called. I just was curious, you know.
Which section are we dealing with?
It's on the budget form to fund various capital requests. It's called the sewer system hydraulic model. Next page, that was after the letter mark.
So we jump to the bottom.
Sure. So in the engineering realm, there's ways of assessing our sewer system in the city. We have our treatment plants, but getting that sewer to the treatment plants. And we have data on pipes and flows, and you can do calculations. However, with all the development that's going on, we need to have more accurate models. So what we've done, we've already put secured a vendor to put flow meters out in the manholes to gather data, and that came at a good cost. But now is the time, and this seems to be we had a nice rainy season, so we can see what these large flows will be, because we do have an I&I problem, inflow and infiltration. So we need to see actually what the flows are. And this would be the next step where they mathematically model it. So we can see when we bring in new buildings, anticipate the flow, see if there's any pinch points that we don't know of, because it's an intricate system. It may look good right in front of it, but there may be points that are just hidden that we don't know about, and that's what will be uncovered. We don't want to find that out later on. We want to anticipate it. And the model, the methods we're using now are fine, but they're not accurate enough, because now we're getting to the point where the infrastructure is being stressed at its limit with I&I and the development. So we need to have more accurate models, so that's what that's for.
Thank you. You may have mentioned that on the tour, but I was curious with the way it was worded, and I support it, especially with climate change. We're seeing heavier rainstorms than we ever have seen. you're being taxed with those issues, as you had at the Westerly Treatment Plant, and hopefully this will allow you, as you said, pinpoint. And next step might be I&I. You know, it has to be the next step, not will be, it has to be to prevent all this inflow of rainwater going into your system that challenges it. So I'm in support of it. I just didn't know if this was, in general, what you were talking about during the tour.
And just to be clear, we don't have combined sewer and drainage like some municipalities do. This is water that comes in through the top of the manhole, or comes in through leaks, or comes in through areas that's not supposed to be connected that way. So a lot of that happens with flooding. Our trunk lines are in low areas that flood. And so you get groundwater that infiltrates the pipes in the manholes, you get water flowing in through the tops. So that's what's happening. We don't have drainage lines hooked into our sewer systems like Boston used to, and then once it rains, you know, you have havoc. But it does create a problem at our treatment plants, and we want to make sure it doesn't create a problem in our street pipes as well, so.
And this is not uncommon to the city of Marlborough, correct? I&I inflow infiltration?
It's not uncommon throughout the state and the country, most likely, yeah.
Thank you for your answers. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had a question about the the Ward Park pool line item. I know that it's an estimate that the company had given, and I was just wondering, would it be feasible to reduce the amount of that transfer to like $925,000, or would it need to be that flat million?
Sure. We have it at 917, that's an engineer's estimate. We don't know what it comes into, we don't want to be short.
Yeah.
If we did have in our, plan some possible like shading structures. If it comes in lower, we can probably add some shading structures or something like that to the area or something like that.
I saw there were a couple, was it, maybe it was 8 by 24, or am I thinking of something different, of the shade structures?
There's one right at the pool. We could add one over because there's not a lot of shade in the grassed area.
Oh, okay. I just thought I'd seen it in the breakdown that we've incorporated 2 shade structures. The cost of these structures, 8 by 24 feet, are approximately $10,000 each installed. So that would include that.
For those 2, we could always add some over in the grassed area or something, once we see what the bids come in. Again, we don't want to be short, but we rounded up to make sure we had enough. These numbers were based on the pool we just did, so hopefully we don't have too much escalation, but we never know till we bid it.
Okay, and sorry, I just had one other question, and that was with the, I saw the fee for the escalation for the fall 2025 construction start. When would they estimate to have the project completed?
It will be done before the pools open the next season.
Okay.
If this gets appropriated, the design's ready to go, unlike Farrell, this one's ready to go. So we could bid it as soon as we had the funding. They could probably start, even get more work done. Although this one has a little more work than Farrell did, they could get a good jump on it in the fall.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Councilor Vital?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I didn't realize, did we just jump down to the DPW and not going to deal with the police?
I apologize, Councilor
Okay,
Vital.
so, okay. I just want to make sure I'm following along here.
No, we can
Couple
start-
things, if we're having DPW first.
Absolutely.
The 4 vehicles, are those would like to replace, or they must be replaced?
So they are,
Because you can
let's
appreciate...
go through them. The jet truck, so what's happened, and when we put this in, the state came through and put in some regulations for EV, medium and heavy-duty trucks. They exempted snow fighting equipment, but that would not have exempt a jet truck or a sweeper. They allowed it for 1 year. Now, since then, they've walked that back. However, the damage has been done because now there's been a run on this equipment. So what we've done was we know the jet truck, which I don't know if you've seen the water break, even if you're digging with a backhoe, at some point the jet truck gets involved because it sucks up if there's a water break, the soil's all soaked. You really can't dig that and get down to the pipe. So the vac truck comes in and cleans it out. So this is a critical piece and I know it's expensive, but it's a critical piece that works on those water breaks. The one we have gets periodically damaged, and it's hard to keep it going, and the cost to get a vendor is a lot, and trying to schedule them, and it's hard to do for emergency work. So that's the jet truck. The vac sweeper is pretty much out of service now. That's the white one that you used to see in the parade. If you see the other sweepers, the mechanical sweepers, they're slower. You have to have a truck with them. The white one is the one that does and sweeps the roads throughout the year because it's on its own. It can drive faster and it can dump itself. The other ones have to have a truck with it. So that one's pretty well out of service. If we gotta fix that, it's just too much money. Again, this was one, can we get by with the mechanical sweepers? Yeah, but we're seeing a run on the sweepers, so we're trying to have some forward thinking and get these before we have to wait 3 or 4 years down the road to get one of these. Especially with the vac truck, there was one there was a chassis being built, so we put our name in for it to try to get a hold of it, so we don't have to wait 3 or 4 years to get the replacement. So we're kind of looking ahead. Can we get by and still put money into the vac truck? Yeah, but once it goes down, we could have 3 or 4 years without being able to get a replacement. So that was the thinking behind that one. Same thing with the vac sweeper. The swap dump is, so that's the piece of equipment that gets used the most in snow and ice fighting. It has, instead of having just a dump body, it has like an arm that picks up its body. It's either a dump truck, it can pick up the sander. So it gets used all the time, especially in the winter, and it's very versatile. The problem is it gets used so much during snow and ice that the chassis rotted out. So that one is definitely in need. That's got to be out of commission in a matter of months. The sidewalk machine, our sidewalk machines are all made in Canada. That's just the nature of them. And the ones we have been difficult to get repairs, to get parts from Canada. So they're down a lot during the year. We've got one on the lot, and when we saw the tariffs for Canada, we anticipated these are gonna be, the run for these is on again. So we put our name in for one of these that was on the lot. So that's basically what generated this list. And we know with the schools increasing their walking routes, we know the sidewalks, we need as much equipment as we can. So that was the thinking behind those pieces of equipment.
Okay, thank you. And then another issue, and this is one that I kind of know a little bit of, as far as the pool's concerned. If we get a pool, we're gonna need to get lifeguards, which we're having a hard time getting now. Because we have to get lifeguards, the pool season will be shorter than that, say, if we had a splash pad. There's more liability with the pool to the city. There's more maintenance with the pool. There's more operational cost with the pool. In this time, in this fiscal era, I'm not in favor of this pool at all.
And we'll get to that one to take individual votes, Council Vital. Any further questions with the Commissioner on the DPW equipment, capital outlay equipment? Councilor?
As you were talking, Mr. Commissioner, I was just thinking, these sidewalk machines, do we have any comparable American companies that make these type of machines? The sidewalk.
There are some that are a lot more expensive and they aren't as efficient. They just seem to be.
Okay, so you've done your research.
In Canada, where the real snow is, I guess.
Yeah, no, and obviously you must get, not just that information, but when you go out, some of this, does it go out for bid, and you have to follow the procurement laws? So, and this still comes up a little less than an American product?
Yes.
The snow machine?
We've
Sidewalk
entertained
machine.
some other items, and their history, they've been newer, and their history isn't as good as these. The one we're getting is, it's been the same design for a decade, and it's just a workhorse. So the newer ones have problems with the canopies and stuff, and they're more expensive.
And on that note, do you try to keep parts, if they're suitable, from the old one to put on the new one?
We try, but some of the parts are expensive too, and the tracks. We try to keep some of the cheaper ones, but, yep.
Just to help out, but thank you for your answers. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilman. No further discussion, questions in regards to DPW equipment. I will entertain a motion for the $1 million.
Motion to approve.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the $1,800,000 transfer from free cash to the DPW equipment. All in favor? Carries 5-0. Next up, we'll have, if any questions, I know Council Orm had a question on the hydraulic that may have been answered. Next item is for the $300,000 transfer for the sewer system hydraulic model. Any further discussion? I will entertain a motion.
Motion to...
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the $300,000 transfer for the sewer system hydraulic model. All in favor? Carries 5-0. Next up is the question I know Council Vital had, but the next up is the transfer for Ward Pool. And I'll open that up for any discussion. Council
Mr. Chair, I'd
Vital.
like to make a motion that we reconsider the use of a splash pad at the Ward Park facility due to all the other issues that I have already addressed, and not purchase $1 million pool.
And not to, motion has been made. Do I hear a second? That doesn't carry, Council. Any further discussion on the Ward Pool? Council Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. President. Obviously, when these both came down, Farrell and Ward, at the same time, I was very concerned with Farrell, and at the time didn't vote to support the funding for that for a number of reasons that we've already hashed out. Throughout that conversation, I've been in support of the Ward Park pool the entire time. Having that open conversation that we just needed more time to look at the planning, what the cost might be, and anticipating that this would someday come down, kind of regardless of where we were. I knew this was coming. So, I am in support of it. I'm in support of the pool. I can't imagine turning it into a splash pad would make, it might reduce the cost in some capacity. I don't know if you can share more about that, but I'd anticipate it'd be a similar price tag.
Sure. So like anything, and Tom can speak to this, trying to have a crystal ball when you don't have the design. Now we have the design. And I think if you went back, we anticipated it costing more because the building itself was too small for all the components. Tom and his group and Mark worked really hard with the designer. They came up with an innovative solution where we didn't have to change the building. They put, I believe it's the feature pump outside in a containment area, so we didn't have to deal with the building. We did some other cost savings, and now we have it down to $1 million. So the upfront capital cost is probably the same as a splash pad now. We've got it to where they're comparable. Yeah, it probably, Council Vital's points are taken. There's the lifeguard issue, and there's some other operational costs that could be offset with the pool compared to the splash pad. But the actual capital cost, I would say, is about the same now as the splash pad.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Thank you, Mr.
No, and I echo what Council Vital had mentioned. That was in my radar as well when we were discussing it last year with the splash pad, the cost of insurance, liability, and lifeguards the last couple of years. But I know a lot of residents did reach out to me, and they've always wanted the pool there, and that's why I certainly supported having the pool there. So that's, but thank you, Commissioner, on that. Council Orm.
It's been a great asset for me when I was younger. I used to walk right down from Mount Pleasant Street and enjoy it mostly on hours. But the question I have is what came up last time when this discussion was being, when we were reviewing this timing. When is the timing being planned for this pool? I think
Yeah, so the
An awesome
design is
idea.
done.
Okay.
So whenever we get the funding, we'll put it out the bid.
Yeah.
So you could, and we wouldn't obviously stop, but we bid it, we award it, we have it ready to go. The minute they close the pool, we can start in on the construction, so we get a jump on it. This one has a little more moving parts than Farrell did, but we'd have a much quicker start than we did on Farrell. If you've seen Farrell, they're pretty similar. If you've gone by there, you can see the pool now. It still needs the plaster color on it, and I believe they'll be pouring the deck soon, so.
So you're not looking to close this pool during this summer? Okay, that's important news for everyone listening in. And if you do start to work on it, it would be after the summer. Within your contract that you set out, do you set a time frame and how much are you allowing for it to be completed?
Yep.
And I see the mayor joined us, so he may want to answer some.
There is a completion date, expected completion date.
Of, don't want to hold you to it, but
Well,
6 months, 9 months, 2 years?
we'll have it we'll put a certain date.
Oh, you don't
So
know
the
that
beginning of
yet?
June or something like that.
Oh,
So
okay.
and then we give couple weeks to make sure.
So you're looking at the end of the season this year and having it completed before the beginning of the next season?
Correct.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for your answers.
With that said, I'll entertain a motion from the committee to let the mayor speak on this. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. Just to clarify some things, thank you, Mr. Chair, through you, Councilor Vital. So when we brought down the splash pad, the same concerns that you had is what I brought down to the council regarding the splash pad, because it would have been opened around the opening of every other aquatic for this summer. But I heard the residents, and I feel very bizarre sitting in my old seat. So, from their Ward 3 City Councilor who expressed a concern to have the pool. We heard the residents, they emailed my office as well as you, that they want the pool loud and clear. That's why we set down the pool. We made it very clear during if the council recommends the pool, that we would not be open for this summer for the pool. We couldn't get the design done, and it'll be open next year. So the concern with the pool is that when we open up Ward Park Pool, if it's going to be able to be utilized, because it's always a concern every time the rec department opens up the pool. That's why we sent down the splash pad, just because it would have been more efficient, quicker process, and still had some type of aquatic there. So hopefully when we open up Ward Park, everything will be great and in working condition. If it's not, then hopefully maybe we can start the pool faster, depending on the cost of fixing the pool. So there's a lot of pros and cons, there's a lot of catch-22s. So again, we put down the pool just because that was what the residents wanted and what you all wanted. And then I signed a lifeguard position today, and as well as a few others. So we are hiring for lifeguard positions, and the positions are getting filled. So we're all systems go with the pool. It'll be a little disheartening if we go backwards, because we could have had a splash pad already open by now. So that's kind of where we're at with that.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor. Councilor Brown?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move to approve the $1 million for the Ward Park pool.
Motion is made, and I will second that to approve the $1 million transfer from free cash to the capital outlay recreation, the Ward pool. Any further discussion? Councilor Vital.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner, I thought I heard you say, and I want to be crystal clear about this, that the splash pad and the pool is about the same amount of money to install a splash pad and install a pool?
Well, I mean,
I want to be clear about
roughly,
this.
yes, now that we've reduced it down, roughly, yeah.
Because
I mean,
It was about a 200.
You can design however you want. The way we could, if you had a splash pad, this pool is comparable to what you could have a splash pad. This is not a lot more than.
how much
what
did
a
we spend
splash
on the last splash pad?
What's that?
How much did the city spend on the last splash pad?
I think it was 3/4 of the price, but that was, we did a lot of the patio work and concrete work around it.
Because if I'm not mistaken, it was $300 and something thousand.
We did no, it was more than that. We did a lot of the ancillary work around it.
The initial splash pad that we sent down was about a $200,000 difference. than what the pool's going to cost. So the pool is a little bit more costly. But then there is a lot more long-term costs regarding a lifeguard and some chemicals, but that was minimal, according to what the council thought, so.
Mr. President.
Wait a minute, so Council Vital, in October of last year, the council approved a transfer of $858,941 from undesignated fund for the feral wading pool. $858,941.
Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We can probably continue discussing this for a while, but I'm glad that a motion to approve has been made. And I think that as we've had this discussion last year, when we got the request from the mayor to put in a splash pad, we had residents who wanted a pool. I think the council was pretty adamant, for the most part, that the pool was what we wanted. So hearing the mayor say it may open, it may not, I think we've heard that for the past multiple years. There have been issues there, so I guess I'll knock on wood that it opens successfully, even if it is on its last dregs, but then it can close and we can start over with a brand-new pool that thankfully has been reduced in price because of some help with engineering and the design, and I think we all appreciate that fact. So I'm glad that the motion's been made.
Yeah, motion's been made and seconded to approve the $1 million capital outlay for recreation, which is the Ward Pool. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. All opposed? 1. It carries 4-1. Thank you, Commissioner. I think that should end all your... Next up is the capital outlay equipment for $811,585. This is for the virtual servers and the school hardware technology. Any questions for Director Gibbs? Councilor Owen.
Yes, I'll wait for him to get up here.
Good evening, Director.
Good evening, Mr. Gibbs. Just a quick question, the virtual production servers and the Proxmox virtual administrative servers, could you just explain it a little bit?
Sure. So right now in our server room, we have what's called a Nimble, which is a storage device. Think of it as a bunch of hard drives stuck together. And connected to that are there are servers, 4 different servers that connect to it. In the process of those 4 servers, they're enterprise-grade servers which handle virtual machines within the servers. So, for example, one server can handle about 20 to 60 virtual servers, and those virtual servers replicate with each other server. So, for example, during the day, if we need to update some software, update some machines, we reboot one of the virtual servers, all the other servers move across to the other servers, and they run consistent and redundant to each other.
So it allows for continuous service
Yes.
of our computer system?
That is correct.
And they
the
both
storage
can-
sits on the Nimbles. So the Nimble handles the servers, which has multiple hard drives, and it has multiple solid-state hard disks as well.
So you have a little redundancy built in for security needs as well?
So that's where the Proxmox comes in. Those are the Proxmox is our virtual admin machines. So without getting too technical and without getting too much detail of how our security is done, we use virtual servers to communicate with the servers and the administration part of the networks.
Well, and listening to the news, our security of our servers is very important, so if this is going to help in that respect.
And these virtual servers, the reason why they're in the 105 range is because the licenses that we have right now have expired, and we need to re-update the enterprise licenses. And there's a huge savings to that as well, having that enterprise license, because any virtual machine, we could spin up a virtual server, as many as we can on that, without any extra cost to us. So, for example, we're not paying a server license for every time we spin up a machine in the virtual environment. because of the enterprise licensing, we can have as many as we want, which is truly beneficial for us.
Excellent. On that note, Mr. Chair, I'm sure there's other questions, but I'll motion to approve for discussion purposes.
Motion's been made. I will second that to approve the $811,585 capital outlay equipment for the IT department, virtual servers, and school hardware technology. Any further discussion? Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just point out that we just gave the school $7.2 million, now we're giving them another $800,000, so any comments from the school committee that says we're not funding the school is not appropriate. We are. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Well said, Mr. President. Council Vital.
That's exactly what the follow-up of Mr. President said. Why isn't this amount of money in with the school's budget? Why is it gets kind of fuzzy with me when some things are in the IT budget and some things are in the school budget.
So the hardware has been decided to be removed from the school regular budget and they decided to put it into capital. Year after year, we've gotten a school money to replace these devices and stuff, and this year they've decided to capitalize it because it is a capital request. I'm not the finance director.
Mr. Chair, point of information, so with transportation costs that the school could not see, usually there's monies left over in their budget to allocate for these funds, but due to unexpected transportation costs, there just is no remaining monies in their budget at the end of the year to purchase this equipment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion, Council Roby.
Mr. Gibbs, can you just clarify for me, in your paperwork that you have the 2 servers, or well, the 4 servers, 2 servers, $105,000.
Correct.
And then the technology is $706,585.
Yeah.
How do you get $811,585? Is there something else that I'm missing? Or am I not adding correctly?
Well, that adds up.
I actually don't have that added up in my...
And that, okay. All right, so the page that has the $101,607.34, that's the same total as your page that says 105. It's for PowerEdge Windows to PowerEdge Pro Max, and the total is $101,607.34.
I think there was some stuff added at the end, some changes made since this quote was dated back in March. So they made some changes, I believe, to that.
And you did not add any extra in case there is actually a tariff by the time you order?
I have not. And last time I talked to Dell, we have not received any of that yet, as of yet. And with the school Chromebooks, we're purchasing them through CDWG, which has them in stock. As long as I can purchase them quickly, I'll be able to get them tariff-free. If I don't, I'd have to obviously buy them overseas, and then I'll get that tariff.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Council Roby. Motion is made and seconded to approve. All in favor? Carries 5-0. And I should have asked the commission too, if you probably would need a suspension on this as well.
Yes.
Director, okay.
Yes, please.
And the committee's okay with that? Thank you.
So that'll be in next week's...
At the next...
Okay, so I'll be there for that. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Next
very
up is
much.
the last item for $440,288, capital outlay for the police department vehicles, vests, tasers, and fencing. Any particular questions for Chief George? Council Orm.
I don't have to go first. Councilor Brown had her hand up.
I had half a hand up. Thank you. I didn't have any questions. I just wanted to make mention of the piece about the fence. So I appreciate the detail that Chief Georgie went into on the capital improvement project request forms, and I was wondering about the fencing, and then when I saw his reasons for it, people have been going on to the parking lot, taking photos of the officers' license plates, looking into their personal vehicles, and they found people in between cruisers. I just wanted to thank the chief for that level of detail, and I do support all the transfers, but that fencing piece was...
Well said, Councilor Brown.
Thank you.
Councilwoman?
Yeah, I just had a quick question on the actual 4 cruises, which I found in the details. And this just goes back to maybe the equipment is outdated now, but I remember when I worked in the municipal government, I got the old cruiser, and they ripped everything out. Any of that equipment usable that's coming out of the older cruises into the newer ones that you're requesting?
Some of the stuff is, some of the internal equipment, some of the radios, but although we've upgraded our radio system, so some of those old radios are now gone. But the bigger items, like the cage that fits in the back of the cruisers and stuff like that, none of that's adaptable, really, because they change models from year to year in the cruisers, and none of it fits. As you can see in my, in one of the descriptive letters we had, the cost of the cruisers have gone up, as has everything else. But what we tried to do is incorporate, in the letter that I got from Officer LaRose, who helps us with our cruiser maintenance, we try to incorporate some of the other ancillary equipment that we've often added in after the fact. So in the past, we may order 4 cruisers, and then after the fact, we're kind of looking for money to update the defibrillators within the cruisers, the mounts for the MDT is the mobile data terminals, which are the computers in the cars. So instead of doing that, we try to incorporate it all into the one package.
Okay, so, yeah, because you know, the total with the defibrillator, MDT mount modem, radio, and rifles and defibrillators, it comes out to 88,671.71. That's about...
Yes, sir.
Is that what we're seeing on the procurement too? Is that what, not just Marlboro's seeing, but if you're out for a police cruiser, is that the new norm?
Well, again, that's including everything. I think the cost of the cruiser is about $69,000 to $70,000, but again, some of that equipment we don't have to replace. Some of the rifles are still good. The defibrillators are always looking to upgrade those or to update those, but so some of that equipment we can transfer from one car to the other, but it's the bigger costs of the structural parts of the car that we usually can't.
And what happens with the equipment that you can use? Does it get sent out to be sold, or is it, how does that work?
Well, we do have a company now that we can use that will sell some of that older stuff. Some of it stays within the car, and that's part of the trade-in value of the car.
Okay. Okay, so you're managing it that way? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for your answers. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilor Byron?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a few questions. The four cars, seems like when they get to 70,000, it's time to pass them in. Is it because of need, or is it just a kind of like a number that we just use to replace it?
Well, we try to shoot for when they get closer to like 80 to 90, because once they hit 100,000, there's no more warranty on the vehicles. And traditionally, we've always looked to replace 4 cars or so. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 5. So we need to have that many cars that we have. We need all of those cruisers. And when they reach 80,000, I know the list that I had given, the highest was about 85,000. But again, by the time we get these cars in almost 10 months to a year, that's gone up probably another 15,000, because those are the ones that we're going to replace are all frontline cruisers, so they're running almost 24 hours a day. If you look lower on the list where it says SRO 1, 2, and 3, those are the school resource officer cruisers. So those are some of the ones that we won't trade in, that we'll keep, and they're just going from the station to the schools. But the other...
Let's just follow up on what you just said. If we have a warranty until 100,000 and the vehicle's working well,
oh, yeah.
Why don't we get rid of it in the 90s and not in the 70s?
Right, no, we try not to. I mean, I just know that some of those other cars do have mechanical problems too, and again, Officer LaRose has kind of noted the condition that they're in. So they may show $73,000 for a 2022 Interceptor, but he's rated as fair, or sometimes they're poor, so they may have other mechanical problems that cause issues.
And I'm just curious, kind of back to IT when he was talking about Chromebooks, and every 5 years you have to replace them, but the Chromebook can be working completely okay, but you still have to replace them every 5 years. Is that the same with the bulletproof vests?
Right, yes, sir.
They might still be working, but you have to replace it.
Yeah, it's just the material that they're made with. I mean, there's a warranty on them of 5 years. I don't know how we test if they're working or not working, you know. We don't want to have that test.
I hope we never have to worry about, having an expired bulletproof
When they're up for
vest.
warranty, then we replace them, yes. And just as an added note on the bulletproof vest, you'll see an acceptance for a grant coming down, that all of the funds that go out for the bulletproof vests are then reimbursable through the federal government and then the state. So the feds pay half of it, and then the state pay the other half.
Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chief, on the vehicles, your letter states that the patrol cars will be repurposed to lower mileage roles, so you're not getting rid of the old cars?
No, ma'am, some of them we are. Some of them we are going to trade in, and some of the other ones we may repurpose, so I'm just looking at it now here, my list. So those SRO cars that do have 104,000 miles and 99,000, those are some of the ones that are designated to go, but the other ones will be coming down, say the ones with 85,000, those will then move down and replace the SRO cars.
And then on your fencing, I guess there are two separate bids, so I thought at first that they were two bids for the same thing, but then in looking at them, they're two separate bids to do two different areas of the station, is what I'm getting. It's hard to read these, it's very tiny and not very clear.
Yes.
But if I drive into the entrance, I would no longer be able to take a right-hand turn to go into where the patrol cars are now parked. There would be a fence to stop me that would
No.
then go all the way around that parking lot that goes along the drive to the middle school and all the way along the back of the parking lot to
Yeah.
connect to the building. So
Yes.
it would all be
It wouldn't-
secured.
Well, there wouldn't be necessarily a gate that you couldn't take a right into that other part. I mean, the fence would go along the street side, down the middle school side, and then around the back to connect. Part of that, too, is a gate. I know I've talked to the contractor. In the back where the middle school field side is, they would have to put some kind of a gate for snow removal purposes. So that's an added feature that wouldn't necessarily be just straight fencing.
So there isn't going to be a permanent fence with a gate that
Prevents you from pulling into the parking
that
lot.
prevents anybody but the police from pulling in. So people would still be able to walk through the cars like they do now?
Well,
Or you're saying-
I guess if they came through that side around the corner, yes.
Okay. It wasn't clear whether you're trying to make the whole parking lot secure and keep people out, or,
Well, yes, we'd like to keep people out, but I'm not sure how secure we want to make it. I know some departments have added gates in that area and other gates where cruisers enter in and out, but I think, that could be prone to having problems if, someone's trying to exit the parking lot rapidly and there's a gate in front of them.
and did you go out for an RFP? Is this a pretty comparable, I'm just looking at the price per hour of the hourly rate for their workers? It's like,
I think it's the
I want to
same.
be a fence setter.
Buck 95?
You would know more about the fencing contract.
That's through Krista Holman, the procurement officer. That's a tradesman bid, and that's how it's structured. You still have to get the quote, and it's structured on that hourly rate.
So regardless of who got hired for a fence company, that would be the
No,
rate?
they won the bid for the tradesman bid, but they still have to put the proposal before us and we have to accept it still.
Okay. Just like I said, I want to be a fence setter, whatever the titles are. Thank
Councilor
you.
Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I hope this number that I have is correct because I do not see where I actually transcribed it from, but I'm going to move to approve the $440,228.
288.
280, $440,288 from the police department request.
Motion's been made, and I will second that to approve the $440,288 capital outlay for the police department, which would be for the vehicles, vests, tasers, and fencing. All in favor? Any further discussion? Councilor Vital.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one little question, Chief. I thought it was just kind of a big number, if you will, and not a big number in money, just a big number. 280, the quantity of 280 tasers. Or is that just I don't know enough about tasers, so help me here. Is that just for the taser itself, or is that a cartridge that the taser uses? In either case, it seems like a big number.
Let me just see what, I don't want to misspeak about which part you're...
Again, it's not a lot of money, but it is, I'm just curious on why we need that many tasers.
No, we don't have 200 tasers, so we have, I would say, closer to 60 tasers. But part of that is included is the purchase of the cartridges and the purchase of the training cartridges. So the officers have to get recertified every year in taser. They have to shoot, I believe, at least 2 cartridges every year as part of the recertification, so we have to buy multiple cartridges every year.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Orr.
As we're talking about tasers, just a question that you don't have to answer, but there's new technology out there to taser a car so you can follow it without chasing it. Is that something Marlboro might be looking at?
I've never heard of that. I haven't seen it.
They shoot like a little pellet onto the car. It has the technology to start beaming into your cruisers where it's going.
So track it like...
Tracker, yeah.
Like
Just
an
curious.
AirTag.
And I know it's not related to this, but you're talking about tasers. I was thinking now they're tasing cars, but something, food for thought.
I'd have to look at it.
It would prevent some bad chases, but thank you,
Thank you,
Chief
Councilor.
Giorgi. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Chief George, do you think you're going to need a suspension for any of these, for this transfer?
Suspend them all.
That's what I was going to suggest. Okay, thank you, because I forgot to ask Commissioner Scott that, so thank you. All right. All right, motion has been made and seconded to approve the $440,288. All in favor? That carries 5-0. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Then a motion. Council Ficillo.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion is made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Thank you.
We are adjourned at 8:03 PM. Thank you.